warm welcome to Podcast for Business with me, Steve Twynham. Podcast for Business is all about helping businesses to share knowledge, expertise, details of workshops, events and seminars with the wider business community. Today's podcast is brought to you in partnership with Network B2B. If you'd like to business network in a structured and relaxed environment with groups across the UK, Network B2B is well worth a visit. If you'd like more information, check out networkb2b.co.uk. In today's podcast, once again, I continue my exploration of the world that is LinkedIn when I'm joined by LinkedIn specialist Judy Parsons. In the previous podcast, we talked about setting up your profile page and much more. In today's podcast, then, we talk about what's next after you've done your profile. How do you actually go on about generating leads? I talk with Judy next on Podcast for Business.
Like to share news about your business, event, seminar or workshop? Simply email steve@stevetwynham.com.
You're listening to the Business Podcast with me, Steve Twynham, and once again this week we are talking LinkedIn, and I'm joined on the line by Judy Parsons. Judy, how are you on this Thursday afternoon, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. I'm very good. Thank you very much, Steve. Hey.
Here we are. In the podcast number 1 about LinkedIn, we talked about setting your profile page up and what they used to call a company page, and we did lots of things around that. And that link is out there. It's on LinkedIn. It's on YouTube, and we'll put that link in to the end of this podcast as well. But assuming, where have you gone? There you go.
I'm here. Sorry.
Assuming people have listened to that. If they've not, we'll direct them to that. You've got that in place, but how do you actually generate leads on LinkedIn, Judy?
Yeah, I know. And that is the big old burning question. And it's a conversation I have, obviously, as you can imagine, with quite a few people who say that they're on LinkedIn, but they've never generated a lead. Which is, obviously unfortunate, because LinkedIn, as a B2B platform, the B2B platform, it is actually a very good place for generating leads. And so the first thing I always say to people that, for me, there's 2 types of leads that you can get on LinkedIn. First of all, there's indirect leads and there's direct leads. And basically, indirect leads are people who refer you. So it might be that you're out and about and somebody says to you, oh, I need some help with X, Y, Z. And you go, oh, you need to speak to so-and-so. Go and have a look at them on LinkedIn. So it's a great referral tool. It's great for having a profile on LinkedIn that is a credible profile, obviously not a CV, but talks about how you help and what it is that you do. And it's great then for people to come and just look you up. And I'll have people who say to me, or who'll send me a connection request, for example, and say, so-and-so has suggested I speak to you.
Okay.
So number one, passive way, admittedly, but number one way to generate leads is to just actually use LinkedIn as a referral tool.
Okay. And I guess, and when somebody's done that, though, now here's an important bit, though. When somebody's done that, it's important to follow up, isn't it?
It is. It is. Well, Steve, as you know, with networking, isn't it? It's the same thing.
It's all about the follow-up.
It is all about the follow-up.
People put all the effort into it and whatever, and then don't do the one of the final pieces of the jigsaw. So that's one way. So what about doing it the other way? Because people are sat there and they're putting things out on LinkedIn and they're, here it goes, and they're just waiting for somebody to go, oh, here's my $1 million contact.
Yeah. So that is all down to what I call direct inquiries. So these are people who are coming to you that you do not know are looking for your services. So these people are emailing you, they're connecting with you, and they're saying, can you help me? And for me, there is only 2 ways that you can get found on LinkedIn and generate those direct leads. You have to be found. If somebody is in enough pain, they'll start looking online and they'll start researching their problems and challenges. And, there's quite a lot of stats out there from Salesforce.com, for example, says that 92% of B2B buyers are starting the buying process online. Another company, IDC, says 75% of B2B buyers are using LinkedIn to research their suppliers. And then there's a final stat I'm going to throw at you is one that probably people have heard of, but 60% of the buying decisions already been made before you're in the conversation. And we know that as consumers, don't we? Because if we go to buy something, we don't just walk into a shop and say, what have you got? We'll have done our research. We'll know, for example, if we want to go on holiday, we'll know where we want to go. We'll have a budget in mind. We'll have some ideas of hotels. We'll have looked on TripAdvisor. So we'll have done our own research. We'll have asked our peers. We'll have asked our friends, where did you go? Where did you recommend? So our B2B buyers are pretty much doing the same thing. So when it comes to LinkedIn, what you need to do is to use LinkedIn so that it gets you found by those people who are searching and researching for those solutions to their problems.
Got you. So is that down to like words you use then?
So there's two ways that you do that. You've got to be influencing those buying decisions. And the only ways that you can do that is, one, through a people search on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So that, which if you think about it, LinkedIn's just a search engine. So people are actually looking for you on LinkedIn. I had one client who came to me, sent me a connection request. I always ask people, how did you find me? It's very important to do that when you do speak to people. And this client said to me, I typed in LinkedIn trainer in a people search and you came top of the list. So I figured you knew what you were doing. Wow. Lovely.
Yes.
And that is the power of actually having a good profile. That is another website for your business that's got all the right keywords in it, that gets you found by people who are looking for your services.
Okay.
So that's one way of getting found, by having the right keywords in a people search. And then the other way is by being active on LinkedIn. And by that, I mean by posting content, and I also mean by engaging with your network. Another example, again, I got a client who came to me because a mutual connection of ours had engaged, had liked or commented on one of my posts, and I'd popped up onto this person's newsfeed. They then got in touch with me, sent me a lovely connection message asking if I could help them write their profile. You know, those are the sorts of messages you want landing in your inbox.
Okay, and you talked about
anyway.
Yeah, well, I think we all do. We all do. Bring them on. So you talked about a LinkedIn profile passive strategy. You mentioned that, didn't you?
Yes. So for me, I always say to people, if you do nothing else on LinkedIn, if you are going to be on LinkedIn, have a good profile, because it is a passive strategy, but it means that you can capture those indirect leads. So there was one person I was speaking to who said that their client had said to them, are you on LinkedIn? Because I could refer lots of people to you. He isn't, so he is now very keen to get on LinkedIn. So he can capture those indirect leads. And also by having a profile, you can capture those passive leads in terms of those people who are actually putting in keywords to find you.
Okay.
So having a good profile is very, very important in that respect, to capture those two opportunities.
Got you. And you said about being active. Is there a difference between posting and articles? Do they do two different things?
There is a difference, but they don't do two different things as such. So when it comes to being active, there are the two elements. There is the bit where you post content, which does include either LinkedIn posts, or the articles. But then the other element is engaging. But just to go back to answer your question, so the posts basically are short updates.
Okay.
Whereas an article is a long update. On an article, you can have sort of 4,000 odd words. You know, it's like a blog.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And what's good about articles is that they sit on your LinkedIn profile. So they are very, very good for thought leadership. You can talk a lot more about, you could do, I've done articles for a client on, why health and safety and HR, giving them some tips on how they can actually, follow good HR, health and safety procedures and things like that. So that can be used as very much as a thought leadership piece for specific target audiences as well, if you like.
So that's powerful, Judy. If somebody's looking at your LinkedIn profile, then they see this article or more than one, again, you're engaging an expert in that field because you're demonstrating that knowledge, I guess.
You're right, but the profile has to be found first, and the profile then has to engage somebody enough to stay on the profile in order for them to actually read it. That's the challenge with articles. The other positive of articles is that, of course, you've got keywords in there, which also helps with your LinkedIn SEO as well. And the other good thing about articles, if you can get the keywords right, they're good for Google SEO. Actually, as is LinkedIn, if you get the keywords right on your LinkedIn, they can get your LinkedIn profile found on Google. So, for example, if you were to search LinkedIn training Wakefield, yours truly's LinkedIn profile will come up on the Google search results.
Right, okay. So it all comes together, doesn't it?
Your profile is fundamental. It is so important. It is a website, and people need to look at it and treat it differently from just being something, a social media platform, because it's not.
Just, open your mind a little bit and think wider, think differently. I love that. Think differently.
Yes.
And I know we've had some fun with it, playing about with mine, and we're still having some fun with it.
Yes.
We'll get there eventually. So there's some great things there to think about. And is the one big message, you talked about profile, how not a question of, I suppose, how long does it take? It's not really how long does it take, really. I guess it's thinking about what your business is all about in the first place. It's
putting yourself in your client's shoes that you need to do.
You put it a lot better than I did.
Well, I think if you think about, when you do a website, and a lot of people know that doing websites, I've personally, LinkedIn is my website, and I am going through the process of creating a website at the moment, and it's very painful for me. And as it is for the poor person who's doing my website. But the reason I say it's painful is that you've got to, all the content and everything that you've got to write. Now, what I find with LinkedIn, and so in theory, I should be able to do it better. But so in theory, if you think about LinkedIn as a website, you want to think about what is in it for my ideal client. So if you on your website, you would never put your CV. You would never talk about yourself. So again, on your profile, you need to think about what's the biggest challenges my ideal clients have that I solve. What is keeping them awake at night? Mm-hmm. And then what words would they use to go and find the solutions to those sorts of challenges? And if you think about website, that is no different to what we put on a website. And I'm just going to go on with this analogy with the website again. If you have a website, it's got to get found. So it's optimized for Google, isn't it? Yep. And then if it comes up in a Google search results, it's got to be your website that somebody clicks through to. So usually you like it top of the list, but you want it to be there so people can click on it. And when somebody clicks through to your website, they've got to be engaged. They've got to go, yep, that's the information I'm looking for. Because if they're not, they're gone. Mm-hmm. And then the final element is that you've got to tell people what to do. And so you have a call to action. You might want them to sign up to your mailing list. You might want them to email you. You might want them to ring you. The same principles apply to your LinkedIn profile. It's got to have the right keywords in it. It's got to be optimized for keywords to get you found, both on Google and LinkedIn. Once you've been found, your headline has got to get people through to your profile over and above anyone else's, because you need people coming to your profile to generate leads. When they get to your profile, it's got to engage them. It's got to create curiosity. It's got to get them nodding their heads going, yep, Steve can help me because he understands my problem and he can help me. How can I get in touch with him? Then you tell them, how do you get in touch? Well, go to ideally you want them to connect, but you want them to email you or go to your website or whatever. So you've got to tell people what it is that you do. And that's how you're going to generate leads on LinkedIn, through your profile, through a people search and through your profile.
Okay. And just as you're talking there, another thought came to me then. Let's just think about the website analogy again for a bit. Website, desktop, laptop, done. Mobile friendly, done. Is LinkedIn on your mobile phone as functional as on a desktop or laptop?
Absolutely, and probably more so, actually. In fact, 60% of traffic to LinkedIn is from the mobile.
Wow.
So there are, whatever you put on your desktop version of LinkedIn will be on the mobile version. And obviously it's instantly mobile friendly and all that kind of stuff. But obviously the summary section on the desktop, you only see the first 3 lines, but on the mobile, it's like the first 100 characters.
Mm-hmm.
So it really needs to grab people's attention. You've got your headline and then the summary all within the header section.
Okay.
But yes, it's mobile friendly. Okay. And the beauty about LinkedIn, sorry to interrupt you. You've got me on the iOS now.
You keep going.
The only thing I was going to say is the thing about LinkedIn is you can change it in an instant. So you can play with it, see how it works. If it doesn't work, change it. You can always be tweaking it, whereas that's not so easy on a website.
No, especially if you've got somebody managing the website for you.
Oh, exactly. And you don't have access to it.
No. I did fall down doing that many years ago. I did have a website, and then to change it, they wanted to charge me hundreds every time I wanted to change a word. Right.
It's shocking.
Let's not go there. No longer with them. Anyway, so let me just see, because when you're talking, things just come to me. And I know we've not got this one on the thought to talk about today, but premium.
Oh, yes, premium.
Premium. What? Because I keep getting these messages. Stevie, you can have premium free for a month because you're very active and you're doing all this. Try me.
Yes.
Is it worth it?
LinkedIn trying to upsell you? Absolutely not, no.
I love your honesty.
No, I don't think that. So there's 2 levels. So obviously you've got your free level, and everything that I talk about and teach people, they can do on the free version of LinkedIn.
Okay. And
then there's 2 paid versions of LinkedIn. So you've got your premium plus, the business level, which I think is something like £445 a month, $450 for the year or something like that. And then you've got Sales Navigator, which is LinkedIn's big sales prospecting tool. Now, a couple of years ago, I think it was now, or a year and a half ago, LinkedIn revamped the desktop version of LinkedIn for it to match the mobile version more, which makes sense.
Yeah.
However, in doing that, they actually took away a lot of the features that were available on the premium package that are now no longer there.
Right.
So, for example, you used to have extra filters. On the premium package, you used to be able to save searches. You used to be able to have different filters over and above the ones that you get in the free. And obviously, everybody could do the tagging and things like that. But they took a lot of features away for me that had value in being a premium member and haven't replaced them. Right. Which I think is it's a bad thing on LinkedIn's point of view, because what you get for premium is basically 90 days view of who's come to your profile, which is really good because you want to be looking at that on a regular basis, because that's somebody knocking on your door.
Yeah.
And, if your profile is right and you've got the right keywords in there, they should be the right people coming. But it also gives you unlimited search. And the biggest challenge on the free version is the fact that you will very quickly, if you're doing a search on LinkedIn, there's a people search, there's a commercial search limit. Okay. And on the free version, you'll run out of it very quickly. And that is the only advantage of paying for it. But is it worth £45 a month? I don't think so, because there are ways around it.
Right, okay. So, Judy, we've covered a few things again today. And we'll be talking again for the next instalment. If you did miss I don't mean you, I mean, if as a listener you missed the first session we talked about LinkedIn, which was all about setting your profile page up, check out the link underneath this podcast as well, because we'll put that link on there for you to check it out. And I look forward to when we talk again, because I'm interested when we talk again, I'm interested about these like first level, second level, third level contacts. We'll expand on that on the next one, but let's keep that
network.
Let's keep that a secret for now. Okay. Yes. So we'll talk again in about, probably another week's time, and we'll put another one of these together. Now, you've shared some great stuff there, but you know what? There's a lot more behind this, and there's a lot of work to do. So how can people get in touch with you, Judy?
Please do find me on LinkedIn. You'll find me at www.linkedin.com/in/Judith Parsons, or Judy Parsons if you want to do a people search for me.
Brilliant. Thank you for talking to us again today. Once again, it has been fun. Lots of knowledge, lots of understanding. You always make me think. I'm going to make myself a cup of coffee now. I'm going to look at my LinkedIn page and cry in my milk.
I think that's what most people do.
Yeah. Oh,
not very well saying all of this, but how do you write it?
I thought I was looking pretty good, but no, because Judy's talked to me again and shared some stuff, and I need to go and do some work. But as always, thanks for joining us today. It's been awesome. Thank you.
My pleasure, Steve. Thank you very much.
A big thank you for taking the time out to listen to Podcasts for Business. Podcasts for Business, all about helping businesses share knowledge, expertise, details of events, workshops and seminars. If you'd like to get in touch, you'd like to feature your business or let me know about an event, all you need to do is simply email steve@stevetwynham.com. Also check out podcastforbusiness.co.uk. Podcast for Business is produced and presented by Steve Twynham. Copyright applies.
Like to share news about your business, event, seminar or workshop? Simply email steve@stevetwynham.com.